Ethan's not dead, guys.
Hi, I'm back.
Welcome back to the Chip Lunch podcast.
It's good to be back.
What a pleasure to be on it.
It's been a while.
Not for me.
Well, for me.
Yes, for you.
As a long
You've got
time
a noisy
being a part
jacket
of.
on.
Oh,
Do you need
what
a
a shame! I'll have
Do you
to
need a blanket
take off my Sheffield
if we-
Wednesday gear.
if you take off the Sheffield Wednesday jacket?
No, I think we're good.
Okay, because we are, as always.
It's chilly.
It's called this. It's called the Third Space Studio, or the coldest corner of Soul Revival Church here at Kirrawee.
We went in. The only place we could fit the studio was the fridge.
That just reminds me of that episode of The Simpsons where it's so hot, they open up the fridge and then put a tent around the fridge and then sit in the tent.
That's such a good idea.
Yeah. It's like a heat wave or something. I
Yeah,
can't remember
awesome.
what episode that is, or what it's called.
I was just in England, which was why I was away, and
I'm glad you pointed at the camera when you said that.
let everyone know.
If anyone's wondering, I was in England.
I was in England.
Yeah.
Sheffield
Sheffield to be exact.
Yes. So we started in Sheffield, and I'm sitting having brekkie, and the news is on, and this lady comes on, and she's talking about the weather, and she's like, England is about to experience one of the worst heat waves in whatever amount of time. Yeah. And it's like, there's like the weather, it's like the country's like different colors because of the temperature. The whole thing's red. It's just like, it's going to be really hot.
Danger.
And I'm like sitting in my puffer jacket that morning. I'm like, it's really cold. It's like 18 degrees. Like, it wasn't that cold, but like, It was like, this is fine. And then the next week we were in London and it was hot. But we were in 28-degree weather, which was every English person was suffering. And everyone I talked to was like, I can't deal with this. But I was staying, my wife and I, Katie, was staying in a hostel called Wombats, which is a great name for a hostel, and attracted for the same reason it attracted me, all the Australians were there. Like per capita, all the Australians in London were in this little spot.
Nice.
And it was actually very lovely. It was really nice.
And
but none of us were complaining. We were like, yeah, cool, this is nice.
The vast majority working in a bar.
Oh yeah, all of them. Yeah. If they weren't working in a bar, they were working as a teacher.
Yes.
Or both.
That seems to be the main way you get a job in England.
That was it. It was working in a bar, teaching, and that was it.
Speaking of weather reports, because my dad lives in the US, he says that like they just use the weather to like scare people.
Oh really?
Like there's a Category 5 cyclone coming. Or what do they say?
That is scary if there's actually
a nor'easter coming. They're like, there's a nor'easter. This is a serious nor'easter. And like they just spend so much time on the weather. And there are some like
I was going to say, like, we don't have cyclones, so I'm like, the weather's like cool.
Well, not
today.
here.
Oh,
but I don't think
they
have hurricanes. I don't think they have cyclones. I think there's a distinction between the two.
But I don't think we have either.
We have cyclones in North Queensland. Yeah, not in Sydney.
In Sydney, we're just like, this is lovely.
Wasn't there like a mini one over at Cornell once?
Oh, I don't know. There was one came through my house, like just decided
Called
to just
Eli.
like. Yes, that's a way better joke.
Oh, did you have one too?
No, I didn't. I was just gonna, but it's a funny joke. That was great. I was just gonna describe like a cyclone that's decided to hate Grace Point and just like whipped through specifically Grace Point.
Oh, really?
And that was it. Like no one else really cared.
Right, but it's not only cyclones that hate Grace Point.
Well, that was how the joke was going to go. But the cyclone Eli was good.
Sorry,
that was great.
That's very cool. What's the highlight of your trip? Over to you. There was one reason you actually went there, wasn't there?
Well, okay. I'm gonna publicly admit this, and
okay,
and everyone is going to go classic Ethan. So if you're listening to this podcast and you don't know me very well, you're gonna now know me very well. That's kind of what this podcast will do for you, because it'll reveal a lot of my interests. I think because we'll talk about England, and I love England, and all the things we did there it'll reveal a lot of my interests. But it'll also reveal a lot about the kind of person I am in my... Anyway, so my favourite soccer team is Sheffield Wednesday.
Yes.
My family come from Sheffield, and my favourite band is the Arctic Monkeys, and they come from Sheffield. And they were playing at Hillsborough, which is where Wednesday plays.
Sheffield Wednesday
plays home ground, and they're playing at Hillsborough, and it's going to be amazing. I'm like, they're in there.
They're still doing a stadium tour.
They're doing a stadium tour of England.
They're going to a lot of football stadiums.
It's crazy. It's awesome. Turns out they didn't go to Sheffield Wednesday's home ground. They went to Hillsborough Park, which is what I thought the stadium was called, but it's not. It's the park in front of Hillsborough Stadium.
I didn't know that.
And so I was like hyping up the fact that I got to party on the field. But in saying that, it was still truly glorious because you walk in to this massive park and on one side is this awesome stage setup for the Arctic Monkeys, but straight ahead is this huge Sheffield Wednesday logo that's on the front of their building. Yeah, and I'm like, so I was still in my happy place, but it was just this funny thing of like, oh, it's going to be in the stadium, it's going to be whatever. And then I got there and they were like, no, it's not. I'm like, oh, okay.
I'm having Hillsborough Park. Yeah, I see.
Is a park.
I think that's a bit of a thing in England, like because Liverpool Stadium Airfield is the same with a park called Stanley Park. And Everton Stadium is on the other side of Stanley Park.
Really?
You just have to walk.
You've got to walk through a park.
It's like a 300, 400 metre walk between the stadiums, basically.
There you go.
I'm pretty sure. I'll check that. But I'm just having a look at the Hillsborough Park and I can see what you're saying.
But yeah, he's looking at a map right now and literally right next to the park is the stadium. And so it's like...
Oh, I see where it is. It's actually across the River Don.
Yes.
But yes, that's kind of cool. I like that. I like that idea of having the park and the stadiums there as well.
It's pretty awesome. And so that was really, really fun. So that was kind of the catalyst for the whole trip because that was the Arctic Monkeys playing at home, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
And so that was going to be a really exciting once in a lifetime kind of thing. So that was the catalyst for Katie and I to make a 2-week trip over the pond.
Mm-hmm. Over the
England.
pond?
Yeah, a little bit more on the pond.
Isn't the pond English Channel?
Yeah.
You went
England to France. Yeah.
You were in France before.
Yeah, no. In saying that, I was in a taxi with a guy who was saying, "Oh, you're in town for a little while. That's really exciting." He was just giving us a few tips of what we could do, and one of the things was you could get on a train for an hour and go to Paris. And he was like, "Oh, you could make a day of it and just go to Paris. Yeah. You only need to be there for an hour because all you need to see is this dumb big metal structure and then come home because it's all dirty and gross." And he just laid into how gross Paris was.
Except the Eiffel Tower.
Oh, yeah, it was just the Eiffel Tower. He's like, "Yeah, go get a photo with the big metal tower and then come home." It was just that level of like, it's not worth it. It was really funny. So if you love Paris, I'm sorry, but this guy did not.
I've been to Paris a couple of times. I've enjoyed it when I've been there.
Yeah,
when I was younger, but yeah.
This guy was like, it's filthy. It's not a good time.
Oh dear.
Just come home, come back, go over, get a photo, come back. It's like, okay. But yeah, so that was a pretty good time. But yeah, it was lovely.
Did you enjoy? I think you already said, but you enjoyed the concert.
Oh, the concert was unreal. So Katie was a bit unwell and so couldn't come, which was fine, which was all good. She stayed at home, which meant that I rocked up and was able to rock up early and went into the front pit, which was really fun. And it meant that I just made friends with heaps of random people and we were just chatting and yelling and jumping and it was very fun. And at one point I was like, "Hey, so I don't usually do this, but I've come all the way from Australia and I was wondering," and the guy I was talking to was like, "Oh yeah, I'll let you in front of me, like whatever." And I was like, "Oh no, like I'm pretty close to the front, it's fine. I was wondering if you could crowd surf me." And they were like, "Yes."
100%.
They were like, they went from like really being bummed to let me in front of them to like really stoked. And that was really fun. And so I had another once in a lifetime kind of crowd surfing the last song in an Arctic Monkeys gig halfway around all the way around the world, which was really fun. It was really, really cool. So that's the highlight. And then the other highlight was seeing the trophy that we won as Sheffield Wednesday earlier this year. It was just in the shop.
Your promotion trophy?
The promotion trophy was just in the shop, and so we got a photo with it. It's pretty great.
Very good.
Yeah. They were my two main highlights.
What did you do around Sheffield?
Okay, so
This is just Katie and Ethan's tour. This podcast,
yeah, it is. This is just a bit of an update.
Life
update for y'all.
This is a life update vlog.
But I think it does, like, you can just turn it off and who cares because it's just me talking about England. But at the same time, it is in the same way that a lot of the Chip Lunch podcast is getting to know people and stuff. I think this is a cool way to get to know the things I'm interested in.
Well, people don't know that the original first episode of the Chip Lunch podcast was you and I sitting in armchairs in the same corner.
Exactly.
Testing out how do we record another podcast.
Yeah, it was good fun. And we were just chatting about
unreleased
this kind of stuff. Yeah, it was unreleased. And so we're back after all this time. The
episode 88.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's Chip Lunch. I know. I've hijacked your story.
No, I can't remember my story there. Oh, what are we doing? What do we do in Sheffield? In Sheffield, we so my family are over there. They're related to Grandpa. Grew up there and then moved to Australia. If you ever talk to Grandpa about it and ever ask him whether he would want to go back or not, he'll say no because it's cold. And he likes Australia a lot. And I think that is something I found really funny about the people of Sheffield, and something that brought me lots of joy was that it's a beautiful old place. Yeah. And the places around it are just gorgeous. And so few people like living there. Like it's just, they're like, and also it was so funny because every person you talk to, it's like, why did you come here? Like, what are you doing?
What's like no one comes here.
No one comes here. And so, we saw some really beautiful stuff, and we hung out with some really beautiful people. We went.
I should say to hear more about Sheffield, your grandpa's podcast with Pete is I can't remember what episode it is, but check that out on.
Check that out, and that's got a lot more interesting and cool details in it.
I'll find it for as you go.
That are good fun. So definitely check that out. Because it is actually a really, really beautiful, special place in my heart. So one of the things we did was we went and saw. I think the relation is Grandpa's uncle. So Grandpa's uncle passed away earlier this year, and so we went to visit his wife. So Grandpa's auntie, and I guess in-law. Is that how it works? Yeah.
I don't know. I always get confused with these.
Whatever. I don't know.
These relation terminology.
It's wild. Anyway, so they had this ring that Uncle Cyril had that he'd gotten from Uncle Bob or something, his uncle. So this is like quite a long time ago now. Uncle Cyril was, I think, in his 90s when he died.
Uncle Cyril was a great name.
Yeah, right. It's awesome. And so he was in his 90s. He was like in his early 20s after World War II, I think, is kind of where the age is. He was too young to go to war, I think, was the vibe.
Okay, right.
And so the one before him, his uncle before him, so we're going older now, further back in history, has this ring that he's passed down through the family. And when we say passed down through the family, he gave it to Cyril, and then Cyril has passed it on to Grandpa, and then it'll go on.
It's like a family heirloom.
It is a family heirloom. And when we say family heirloom, it is beautiful. It is old. We reckon it's from like the 1800s, maybe even older from some of the things we were looking at.
Yeah, wow.
And it's gold, like it's unreal. And I was really excited by it because, and like, I don't know how much it's worth, and I don't know if, like, I'm talking about it now, I'm like, it's cool. But I was really excited by it because I learnt that that Uncle Bob was a Peaky Blinder. And it wasn't necessarily, I say Peaky Blinder, but he wasn't in that gang, but he was an illegal bookie when that was a thing. Okay. And so he won money on the Greyhounds, and he was that kind of, and he would like do all that. And so I was like really excited about this ring, and I brought it back to Grandpa, and he was like, yeah, it's probably just some dude tried to pay off a bribe and just like kept the ring. Like, it's not a family heirloom. It's just some ring. And I'm like, oh, it was very exciting anyway. It was really cool.
Wow.
But he would like run away from the police, like while they were having dinner. Like they'd like go around to his place and hang out, and he'd like throw Cyril money and be like, run.
Get out.
Like the cops are just knocking on the door to check.
Wow.
And he would have like, he had like a route that he would take over rooftops that he would get out from his top. He had like a little top thing that he'd live up there, and he'd
get out through the attic.
Through the attic. Yep. That's the word I was looking for. And so he had all these things planned out, and he had like all these different cops in his pocket that he would like walk around with Grandpa and Cyril and be like, oh, I know that guy and that guy and that guy. And Grandpa to this day will tell you that as when he was really young, he never wanted to gamble because Uncle Bob was like, come to the races with me, and they would go to the races, and Uncle Bob would say, all right, go on this one, go on this one, go on this one, go on this one, and so he would put his tiny amount of money in because he's a kid, and he's like, oh yeah, this is fun, and he won every single, first, second, or third, every single thing
was in
fully. And so Grandpa was like, it's all rigged. Yeah, so I knew from a very young age it's all rigged.
Yeah, right.
And that was because of this guy that was in our family, and that was a really cool. I thought it was a really cool bit of history, and I like Peaky Blinders, and I think it was that kind of era of.
Well, to hear more about that era, I just found it. It's episode 28 of the Chip Lunch podcast called "Stories for Life," and you can hear more about life in Sheffield with Pete Crawshaw.
Yeah, hit that up.
Yeah,
would recommend.
And it was a nice going to see family.
Yeah,
because I've never had family.
I don't think there's any introverts in Yorkshire. Right. I haven't found one yet. They must be hiding because
well, they would be,
because well, I guess so. But literally every single human I talk to, including my family over there, talk heaps. And so it actually was another really cool thing that made me look at my own family and go, oh, maybe that's what it is. Like we actually just are from Northern England, and everyone from Northern England talks a lot. I got stopped. So I wore my Sheffield Wednesday jersey in London, and I got stopped 3 times by people who don't even go for the team, but just wanted to talk to someone from Sheffield. And it was really clear that was the case because
so maybe they hate, like you're saying, they don't like living there. They don't dislike living there so much that they need to just talk to each other about it so much. Or
maybe, but I don't know. I think there's just a vibe of everyone just talks to each other and everyone hangs out and everyone talks a lot, and it's what we do, right? And it's kind of and it means that there's probably a lot of we'll talk over each other and we'll be loud and we'll be whatever and we'll repeat stuff and we'll whatever. But it is a really fun little picture of what our family looks like because we're from over there.
Is it nice to see that you have a bit of a history, a long-standing history?
Totally. It's really cool. We walked into the Sheffield Wednesday shop, and as you walk in, there's there's this little bit of roof that has all these images over the years, because it's 150 odd years old now, this club. And as you walk in and you look up to your left, there's this big black and white picture of a guy, and that's my relative. And from
he's the one that played for Sheffield
Wednesday?
So
he played for Sheffield Wednesday and he captained England or whatever. And that's our claim to fame. This guy, Tommy Crawshaw, was playing for Sheffield, and he's up there and he's in amongst greatest players of all time painting that's on the back wall as well.
Yep.
And it's just cool to be, that's just been where we're from. That's where the Crawshaws are from. And it's really beautiful that to be able to experience that and see that and be a part of it. It's really fun.
I think it's hard for me to know too much of my family history. There's to see something like that is it's really cool. There's a big, and I think about that when my wife, half of my wife's family is from Latvia.
Yes.
Which is really interesting too. So that's imagine all the history that's there, and you can't really access it either. So I suppose just...
Do you know any of your history?
It's a tawdry one.
Ooh.
I just wanted to use that word. No, I don't really know anything. I believe McMaster is... my mum's side is originally Scottish, I think. Well, you just looked up the meaning of tawdry.
Maybe.
Go on.
Showy, but cheap and of poor quality. That's a great word.
What a great description of me. Showy but cheap.
Showy but cheap and poor quality. Oh, that's not you at all, Joel.
Maybe on first glance.
You're showy and first class.
I'll take that. I will definitely take that. I believe my mum's side is from Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if McMaster is Scottish or Irish. So, that's pretty much all I know.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it. I think that my grandparents are reasonably secretive about any kind of history.
Scottish.
Yeah, and that wouldn't surprise me if it's Scottish. But yeah.
Originated in Scotland before having their land depossessed by the MacLeans. That's why you just hate everyone whose last name is McLean. We've had many a conversation about that.
That's right.
This guy's
Can't
hatred.
stand him.
This guy's hatred for anyone called McLean.
That's right.
It's game over. Ever since losing their land, the McMaster surname has migrated throughout England, the United States, Canada, and Australia. There you go, Wikipedia. Fount of
That was
knowledge.
really helpful. I've never known that before.
There you go.
Thank you. Send me the article.
Literally,
Could be. It is Wikipedia.
McMaster Irish clan, and then it
came out
said
Scottish.
It's a Gaelic Scottish name.
There you go.
Yeah.
I was hoping I was Irish, but it doesn't.
Sorry, bro.
That's all right. Well, I'll take it out on the McLeans. Oh, what does that mean? It's almost time to finish
It's almost time for me to go.
Well, have we been recording for 17 minutes?
Something like that. Yeah, it's a short bonus episode.
It's a short podcast.
And the reason it's exciting to have this little mini one is because the next bunch of podcasts are going to be epic. We've got 2 next week.
Correct.
Recording. We're recording 2 next week.
Yeah,
we're not posting 2 next week, which leads us into week away, where there's what's happening a week away.
We're like, well, what isn't happening a week away, Ethan, is really the question. I think we're going to try and record a chip lunch every day, almost.
Sick. That's going to be unreal.
So there's plenty of people that are been unable to make Fridays when we usually record. So those will hopefully get quite a few of them on board. We're also going to do shock absorbers too with Mike Dicker. We might even get Mike Dicker on Chip Lunch.
I think it'd be very cool to get Mike Dicker on.
Who's doing the talks
on Revelation?
Yes, on Revelation. It's very exciting. I'm interested to see how he helps me understand all the random imagery that goes on in Revelation.
So many numbers, so many weird images.
Yep.
It's good fun.
Would you describe Revelation as tawdry? Probably not.
No, not at all.
There's a bit of show going on.
There's a bit of show, but it is not poor quality. There is absolute quality the whole way through.
That's right. Imagine if we just said, yeah, but, Chronicles, that's a bit tawdry.
That's a bit tawdry.
That's maybe a question. That's the other thing we're going to be doing. There's many things going on a week away, I suppose, which we could talk about. And I am organising the trivia night again. We're going to call it Super Quiz. Call it the Super Quiz. You look confused.
I think it just turned off.
What did?
I don't know.
The camera?
We'll find out in a sec.
Oh, okay. That threw me for a loop then. You're like, what are you doing? So we're going to have the Super Quiz. We are going to have the soiree on the green, as always.
Lovely.
There is going to be, I believe there is an 80s and 90s music night.
It sounds pretty epic. There's lots to be excited about.
Very
it looks
exciting.
live.
It looks alive.
And
which
it's not going to be tawdry.
No. Tawdry. I think that's what this episode is going to be called. Not tawdry.
Not tawdry.
Not towards. Not towards.
Not towards.
And Ethan, another question I was going to ask you though,
yes,
and you can't reveal much, but is there another set of videos coming out for Weekway?
Yes.
Is that all you can say?
That's all I can say. That's all I will allow to be published on the internet. Because I don't want to. I'm under Marvel, and I are in a really strict contract about letting secrets out. They got pretty mad at Tom Holland, and I was chatting to Tom Holland the other day, and he was saying, yeah, don't get on Marvel's bad side. So,
wow, very, very interesting chat. Some would describe it as tawdry.
That's exactly what it was.
Others would describe it as truth. I think we're somewhere in the middle.
I don't think we're anywhere near truth.
I'm looking for the truth. The truth is, though,
it's going to be fun. It'll be
the
fun.
videos are going to be there.
Yeah.
Which is always a big highlight for the young crew and also for everyone. Because they're always a lot of fun
100%.
And very funny and
they're
enjoyable.
very silly.
And we appreciate how much time and effort you put into editing them, which is, I know, takes up a lot of your time. What else are you looking forward to a week away? We were planning to try and record a Chip Lunch podcast, like as we go down there. Like we were going to record a companion podcast, but I'm not sure if we're going to be able to make that work.
We'll see what we can do. I'm still it's still there in the back of my brain. Once I figure out these kids' videos,
let's think about doing it. So
that's the next
that
project.
may come out prior to week away.
Yeah.
That we will record a podcast,
the radio show on the way down,
the drive down that you can listen to on the drive down.
Yeah.
So hopefully people don't record it, figure out too much of the timing, so they don't work out whether we're speeding or not.
We were talking about we'd have to start from Ride and so we'll see what we can do. We might start from the factory and then tell everyone to also try and start from the factory and then go. We'll see what we can do. But yes, that is very exciting. I have to go and teach a scripture class
You told me 12:30. It's only 12:15.
I have to be there at 12:30.
Oh, you have to be there at 12:30. Well,
there at
goodness
12:30.
me, this is a short episode.
It is a short episode. It's teeny tiny. But I think it's a cool little. Here's what's coming.
Yeah,
a cool little.
There's plenty coming.
Learn a bit about McMasters.
Yeah, you learn a new word.
Learn new word.
Learn about Crawshaws.
Learn about the Crawshaws.
Learn about your trip.
Learn about my trip. There is. I think a lot got done.
I hope you feel that way too, listener or viewer.
And if you don't, sucked in.
That's right. That's how we always end our podcast. Well, from the cradle to the grave is maybe what we call this podcast. This is because we started with the unreleased episode, and now this is the episode that puts it in the bin.
Yeah, sure.
Puts the
Yeah,
podcast
that's
in the
fair.
bin. Thank you everyone for listening in and tuning
What
in.
started it all? There was a reason we didn't stick to just us, and it was me.
I don't think that's true. I think you're still getting over your jet lag.
Probably.
That's what it is.
I was up very late last night trying to deal.
Storyboarding.
I was storyboarding.
Yes.
I have some really poorly drawn stick figures that can
that's
come out
okay.
in the special features of the videos.
Of the Week Away videos.
The Week Away videos. Again, if you buy the what's this, the steel cover, you can get DVDs that are like the metal.
Oh, like the I don't know what that's
I don't know
called.
what they're
There's like
called.
not director's cut. It's
Sure, let's just go the director's
special
cut.
edition.
Special edition. Yeah,
Yep.
you get the special edition
Yep.
Week Away video package.
I got
comes with our
Anchorman.
really bad storyboard.
I got the Anchorman like deluxe edition, where it's called like the Stay Classy version, edition or something.
Perfect.
So that's cool.
Yeah, there'll be a special edition.
Well, much like this podcast, DVDs are a thing of the past, and we probably should wrap it up so you can head off to a scripture class.
That would be lovely.
Be praying for Ethan as he does scripture, and thanks for joining us, Ethan.
Be praying for Week Away.
Praying for Week
We're
Away.
getting really excited. There's lots to
Read Revelation if you want to.
I think do it if you don't want to. I think it's a good idea.
That's a good idea, you know.
No, you can do it if you want to.
I mean, that's the business
Yeah.
we're in, making people do things they don't want to do.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what it's all about.
What a tawdry business. And with
No,
that,
definitely not.
yeah. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap it up. Thanks very much, Ethan. Thank you to everyone listening, watching. One way.